Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 655 of the DrunkNerds podcast. As always, I'm Tyler, and joining me we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
I'll tell you what, I'm feeling actually pretty damn good. And I'll tell you why. This week began with the most unlikeliest of things that possibly have happened. I know I alluded to this last week before we ended our Skype call, but I was just going to tell you, if Patrick Mahomes shit the
Oh,
bed, I was going to have a great night. And guess what? The prophecy came to pass. And I had myself a fucking excellent night.
the DMs I was getting from Gables were some of the horniest DMs I've ever gotten in my entire life.
Oh Lord. Oh
I was
Lord.
like, man, is there like an HR for like podcast buddies? Because I don't, I might need to call them.
Well, yeah, I did send a couple of DMs to Tyler, but
More than a couple.
man, it was it was definitely one of those moments of my life where it's like, what, I loathe one team so much that I'm actually happy that a rival team of mine, of mine actually fucking beat the shit out of them. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's how my week started off, and it's like, yeah, the usual work stuff, the usual like game stuff. I managed to find a decent Super Nintendo and paid underneath what you would get like online, so I'm happy about that. I actually had to rearrange my current setup in my room here so that I can have my retro games right here next to my bed while I have this big palooka right behind me so I could play anything
Yeah,
that's recent.
yeah,
So it's like,
your TV.
yeah, yeah, I have literally the modern, and then I have what's from the past and stuff. So everything in this room is starting just to kind of like work itself together finally after about 4 years, and not like all just everything's everywhere at any time. I actually have some structure, some structure stuff. But other than that, though, it's been going fine. I mean, I feel good. I feel like everything else is starting to kind of reset itself and stuff. But how have you been doing, Tyler?
Ah, yeah, better now, better now. Just cracked open a beer. I'm doing all right. It was a very tiring work week. Very cold, a lot of snow. Got a big snowstorm here in Iowa. Um, it was very busy with the Valentine's being this week at my job. So, very very exhausted. I was telling you before the podcast, where it's like I felt like it's Saturday night as we're recording this. Uh, it really wasn't until like 5 6 hours ago where I finally felt like I wasn't just like a husk of a person. I was at like now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm coming, like I feel like I'm like logging back on now finally, which sucks because now it's 11:30 on Saturday night and tomorrow Sunday and I'm right back to work. But I don't know, I'm doing all right. Otherwise, clanging and banging. I'm the opposite of Gables, where I wasn't rooting for the Chiefs or the Eagles. Honestly, if both teams just collided into like turn into a cloud of dust, I would have been fine with that. But I just, it's the last football game for 7 months. I just want a good game,
Yep.
and we didn't, unfortunately, a good competitive game, I should say, and we did not get that. So I was kind of bummed. The game was essentially over, like probably like midway through the second quarter. So that was kind of a bummer. And we just had to watch a bunch of
Yeah,
shitty commercials. So
yeah, dude. I mean, you know that the Super Bowl was kind of like a snooze fest with like my elderly father. He purposely had the TV on and stuff like that, and he nodded off to sleep and slept through half the game.
yeah, that was probably the right call. Probably the right. He was honestly, of everybody that we know, probably the smartest person amongst them. Um, yeah, and otherwise I'm doing all right. Doing clanging and banging. It's we finally got some. Avowed came out this week. If you I bought I spent the $20 to get the 5 day early access and stuff. It's on. It'll be on Game Pass Tuesday, but if you have Game Pass and you spend the $20, you got it 5 days early. So I went ahead and did that. So it's nice that we finally finally have some big games coming out. There's been a lot of like, we had like the Xbox Direct, like last month. We've had State of Play this week. We're just waiting for that Nintendo Direct. Potentially the next week or two. And then also, the Switch 2 Direct. So it's like been a lot of game announcements, but I felt like there hasn't been like a lot of big games coming out. We've had a few come out so far this year, but finally feels like the games are coming, and they're coming fast, and they're coming hard because we're getting like we got Avowed this week. Bloom and Rage next week. Then we got like Monster Hunter Wild. We have
Mm.
the Yakuza or Like a Dragon game coming out next couple weeks. So it's pretty crazy. I was looking at March as well. Like it's the calendar is filling up, especially the first like the next like 3 months is pretty nuts. Um, yeah, so it's it's nice. It's nice to like not only are we getting a bunch of cool game announcements, but we're also like we're finally have some big games to play here too. So it was nice like January and like I say like the first half of like February was just like really from like after Indiana Jones like mid December I haven't really played any new games. It's just like playing old games or like jumping like playing games older games or just playing like college football or something like that. And that was kind of a nice little buffer there. Now but it's like man I've been like wanting a new like the new hot thing to come out and I'm happy that we're finally here. So yeah, no, I'm doing okay otherwise. But before we get into the news and everything this week, Gables and I we've been doing this for almost 12 years now. We do this for fun. We have full time jobs. We don't get paid for this. We paid a lot of money to do this. So we don't have a Patreon. There's no way to directly support us as far as like money wise. But if you, the only thing we really ask for is a little bit of your time. We do a podcast every weekend. We record it Saturday night. Goes up Sunday morning. Um, we're on every podcast service out there, Apple, Spotify, whatever. We're on it. Just look for us, Drunk Nerds, Drunk-Nerds. You'll find us. Honestly, the best thing you can do for us is like subscribing, leaving reviews, 5 stars, comments. Honestly, the best thing though is go to our YouTube channel. There's a link down in the description below. But just look for us again, Drunk Nerds, Drunk-Nerds. Subscribe to us, like the podcast, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Um, yeah, share with your friends. All that too. That's a huge thing you can do for us. Yeah, that's like the best thing. Really, honestly, we're getting really close to 500 subscribers. We're in the 490s now. It'd be really great to get there soon. But also, we do anything like sometimes there's like some stuff that goes up on the YouTube channel that does not go on the podcast feed, like live react stuff like that. So I did a live react to the State of Play a few days ago. If there's Nintendo Direct, I plan on doing a live react to that. Pokemon Day, we'll probably have something there. Assume I'm gonna do a live react to that. The Switch 2 announcement Direct is in April. Plan on doing a live react to that. So like, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that goes up on the YouTube channel only. So if you guys want to help us out, we would appreciate it by just subscribing there. And I don't know if you want to click the bell, click the bell. That'd be great too. But Gables, let's get into the news. Really, only one topic, but it's a major one. I'd say maybe we'll go with major. It's a big one, I should say. It's a beefy topic. We had a PlayStation State of Play, which we all kind of knew was coming. There's a lot of rumors and stuff
Mm.
like that. And then we had the Metal Gear Solid trailer leak the week before, so I was like, okay, it's definitely coming. Um, so yeah, we finally had all that. Typically, I try to like do one like I try to find like really good rundown that someone's posted that puts everything in order. I couldn't find one that also had like a lot of good details on stuff. Or like ones that would have everything. So I would like clip out certain stuff. So I'm using the PlayStation blog this time. So it doesn't it's my pet peeve where it doesn't have an order, but it does have everything. So there's that.
Mm.
So we're just gonna go in order here by what they have here. So we have Borderlands 4. We got a trailer for that one. We got the first gameplay trailer back at Game Awards, but like I think everybody kind of realized it was like almost felt like it was kind of a rush job of like putting this together. Maybe it was Gamescom actually, but like I feel like they got put together really quickly after the movie flopped. And it's like, oh shit, we gotta like we need to like get something out there for this thing. Oh, it was Game Awards. They announced it, and then gameplay trailer was at Game Awards. It looked like it was like thrown together real quickly. So this one actually felt like an actual old school, like what you expect from a Borderlands trailer. Good music, a lot of explosions, ton of different guns, bunch of gameplay. Didn't really get a lot as far as like a big part of the Borderlands is the comedy of it, and we didn't really get anything about that. But there's just a lot of what you expect as far as like a lot of things, shit getting blown up and some music and stuff and a lot of shooting. But they did announce that there will be a Borderlands 4 exclusive like specific state of play coming in the springtime, and that the
Mm.
game is coming September 23rd. Gables.
Huh. I think what's kind of fascinating about that is like how soon that game is going to be coming in terms of this year. I mean, September 23rd, late September stuff, just before the holiday season, just a little bit towards the end of fall. I am actually fairly like I'm actually fairly like kind of like just so like on the process of Borderlands 4. I mean, I didn't like the way how that trailer was really introduced and presented because I really don't like Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, no one likes Randy
But
Pitchford. He's like the most hated man in all of gaming. So
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like it just looked like the same as it generally has been. It's like it's more Borderlands, which is not a bad thing, but
Yeah.
watching that state of play later on this spring, I'm kind of interested more in how what's that's going to pertain to, like how are these classes going to be different? What characters are going to be involved inside of this? Is there going to be like some antagonist that's going to be actually worthwhile instead of like these two twins or something like that from Borderlands 3, which was actually kind of part of the reason why I didn't want to play that one to begin with,
Mhm.
because it just kind of seemed like kind of, I don't know, just so, just trying to ride on the shirt tails of what was Handsome Jack. But yeah, yeah, I think this is kind of rushing Borderlands 4 in some aspects, because it's like you were just pertaining before, in terms of the Borderlands movie, how that came and went and pretty much got panned fairly hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how quick that Gearbox was actually to turn around saying, "Hey, it's Borderlands 4," and then all of a sudden it's like almost everybody seemingly forgot about fucking the failure that was Borderlands the movie with Borderlands 4
Yeah.
announcement.
And that was definitely the goal. And maybe it worked. I don't know. I think like most people though, like one of the things like I always talk about, like we got sometimes it's hard to get out of the bubble of what like kind of like 99% of gamers don't actually like they don't really know about state of plays or pay attention to them. Maybe they see some headlines out
Right.
of them, but like they're not watching these things. It's like they just see the trailer and like, this is a Borderlands is a franchise that goes beyond like the hardcore gamers. It's just a big it's one it is like definitely like one of the top tier like franchises in gaming. So I feel like they just they see Borderlands 4. They're gonna be super excited for it. Like I mean like there was that
Yeah.
Tiny Tina spinoff game they made that was like was super successful for them and like it reviewed well and did well, but it was like yeah, I don't know. It's like I definitely was like I played Borderlands 1 and 2, loved those games back in the day, and I played a little bit of like the pre-sequel one. I'm like just I feel like I don't know. At a certain point, like I played pre-sequel and I was like, and I bought like they did like the collection on the neck on PS4, and I started playing like Borderlands 2 again. I'm like
Hmm.
I think I was just like I'm kind of think I'm just done with Borderlands, but I don't know. I think there's like overall there's a sentiment maybe like in our communities of like and stuff that like kind of feel that way, but I feel like grand scale like this game will do totally fine as long as it comes out and it's not broken and buggy. So um,
It's going
I
to take a lot to actually get a lot more people just to get invested in Borderlands. That's what I kind of feel.
yeah, I mean maybe like I don't know. I think there's a base audience enough though. This game will be okay though, as long as like I said, as long as it's not like awful. I did forget to before we actually like went through everything one by one. What was your overall thoughts on the actual state of play?
Well, the actual thoughts that I had of the state of play was it was kind of half and half. I mean, there was definitely some aspects I did like about the state of play. I mean, obviously the whole trailer in terms of the Revenge of Shinobi, well, well, at least that Shinobi game and stuff, and getting the concrete release date in August. I mean, that was fun. Um, Seeing more stuff of Monster Hunter Wilds. I mean, that was to be expected, really. I mean, that one's releasing fairly soon, like within the next, like at least under 2 weeks from now. Um, let's see, the game by Housemark. That one
Saros
actually, yeah, Saros. That actually, the concept seems rather interesting, and I kind of would like to see more of that when it comes down the line because it looks like it's piggybacking off of
Returnal.
like Returnal and like how successful that was, and hopefully it kind of evolves that core aspect of what they were aiming for in terms of this type of a roguelike, because it's like you have so many different types of roguelikes now that get released yearly. Especially there was more released since the Housemark doing their whole thing with Returnal. I'm just gonna see what is gonna go on to set this differently than opposed to some of the other ones that we've had a chance to not only see but also play.
Yeah.
You know,
So out of 10, what would you think you give it?
out of 10, well, I definitely would think I would give it like around a 6, even though that there were definitely some things that did have me excited in terms of release dates and stuff. I mean, it just had to pay in large part to some of the games that were presented, like
Hmm.
no next to nothing about some of the stuff that was going to be released. I mean, I didn't mind the trailers though for like Onimusha, the new Onimusha game, plus like the trailer stuff for the the remastered Onimusha 2 and that one releasing fairly soon. I mean,
Yeah,
those were fine. Trying to think of what else was there. I mean,
yeah. We can go through it one by one, but yeah, I thought overall, I thought this was like, I mean, obviously state of plays are hard because we don't know. We've had some that are just like it's kind of like it's like the state of plays are difficult sometimes because it's like you don't know what's going to be there because like at least like
yeah,
Nintendo when they do like Xbox when they do like this is a third party event. It's like okay, we know like state of play. Typically they do a pretty good job sometimes of like saying what's not going to be there. But you're like okay, but like
yeah,
all right, but then you're like okay, what could be there though? And you start going and state of plays like sometimes I mean they've been real bad, and then we've had some that are like, oh my god, this
hmm
was like a borderline PlayStation showcase. Like what? I can't believe they call this a state of play. So it's like they're definitely always like um, tough because you never know. Like yeah, like there's like this could just be like this could have been an email, and there's like someone like I can't believe they called this a state of play. But I thought this was a great one. I gave this like I did the live
okay,
react to it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. And I stick by that. It wasn't just like the coming off the high of it, but I thought like not everything hit for me personally, but I think like like they always talk about the goal of these like events and stuff like that. Nintendo Directs, E3, whatever. Those presentations are always like if you could find 3-4 things out of those that you were interested in, like then that's a success. And like I came out of this,
well, yeah,
there was more than there. I mean, there was like, I are all of them for sure 100% day one buys now, but I'm like, there's like 8 in here where I'm like, these are like a few of these are day one buys, and a lot of these are like these will be day one buys if reviews are well and like or things look positive for this thing. Like, um, or like oh my god, come first blush, I'm like this looks fantastic. So I thought it was really good, and yeah, it was definitely like and like this is like the future of like if they found the formula with state of plays, like obviously this might not be the formula, but like hey, it's like it's gonna be a lot of third party, and then maybe you get one or two like first party things at state of plays. I think that's a great formula. I mean, that's like look at most Nintendo Directs. That's usually what they are. Is like you get 1 to 3, usually like Nintendo first party games, like bigger first party games, and then the rest is like third party, like indie games, stuff like that. So I think this is a good formula. As long as obviously it's very like it's like I talk about all the time like Nintendo indie events where it's just like I've watched some where I'm like, man, there was like 7 games out thing out that look awesome, and then you watch that same thing, you're like, I didn't like this at all, and like vice versa. So it's just like it's like obviously it's very different, but I think overall just like kind of looking like I think this was one of the best things about it was like we got a lot of dates for things that surprised me because I was like we've obviously
right,
heard everybody talk about where like a lot of game developers and publishers are scared to put games out right now because they're scared of like the Switch 2 and GTA 6. Like there's just
hmm
there's a big black hole in like the time period when those things come out where like nothing else, no other game will be talked about when those things hit. So
mm.
yeah, I overall I liked it a lot. I thought it was like a really good state of play that stood up on its own without the big first party bangers being there. Just from the just in some of this there's like some other first party like or like games that like they're like they have partnership deals with. But one last thing about Borderlands 4 though is interesting is I believe it was last week at the Take Two quarterly call they mentioned that GTA 6 is scheduled to come out before Borderlands 4.
Okay, so since Borderlands 4 like releases in late September,
Yeah.
so are they? If that's before, then that could be sometime in June.
I mean, sometime between now and September 23rd. But I mean, obviously, this is a sales call, so and who knows what this guy
Yeah, yeah,
actually
I get
knows.
it.
Yeah, I mean, delays can happen. But if I remember correctly, they said that it would come up before Borderlands 4. So obviously, like, that means nothing. So, but we're also at a
Yeah,
time frame where GTA 6 can come out in July. It doesn't matter. We'll be the hottest fucking thing out there. So let's move on to the next thing here. A game by Konami, not the one you expected.
yeah.
Darwin's Paradox is basically you play as like an octopus, but like it's like a 2D game. It almost looked like an Inside style game, but you play as an octopus. I thought it was like looked
This
really cool.
honestly, this is probably one of the more bizarre things that Konami has actually put out in quite a while because I wasn't expecting Konami to put out an indie style game in forms of this, and like it looked halfway decent.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, like it was like a 45-second trailer, and I was still processing the part where they said "By Konami," but then the trailer was over. I'm like, wait, what? And I had to go back and like watch it later on. And I'm like, holy shit, this game looks like really cool. Like this looks great. Yeah, like he's like he's like trying to like hide from enemies, and he has to like he like basically he can camouflage himself to hide. Or there's like a Metal Gear Solid 2 thing where like a bunch of soldiers are like they're like saluting and they turn around and you have to like stop
Mm.
and stuff. So I don't know. I thought it looked pretty cool. So I don't know. I am definitely interested. That's supposed to come out sometime in 2025. They also mentioned that Ichiban is coming to Dave the Diver in April, and there's like a 2D style beat 'em up game that will be launched as DLC in that game in April. It looks like actually a pretty good beat 'em up.
Oh yeah, man. Just Yakuza being inside of almost like say every facet or some where it, you know, just spread out far and wide. Dave the Diver though, that
Yeah,
man, they really have like a lot of like different like mashups and stuff. But
yeah,
this one is like more akin to, well, obviously fans of like a dragon, Yakuza like a dragon, all this other shit. But it looked fairly fun, fairly competent.
yeah. It's not just them like putting the character in like in the game. It's like there's a whole fucking like mode to this game that's like in
Right.
this. It's crazy. It's like I can't believe he's just gonna put that in the new Pyro game. Next up though, Gables, we're getting a remaster to your favorite PS4 game, Days Gone remastered, April 25th, 2025. And like upgraded graphics, 3D audio, accessibility. And if you own the game on PS4 or PC, it's a $10 upgrade. So
Now you see that is the proper way you go and do a remaster and stuff like that, where it's like you give the option of like upgrading something. Like, sure, you're gonna go through maybe pay like $10, get the PS5 version. I mean, I got a hard copy of Days Gone that I've had for quite a while, thinking that full well that there was going to be a PS5 version coming, and sure enough.
yeah, yeah. I I, I
But
pre I pre-ordered my copy, and I played like 2 hours of it, so I never went back. So I'll probably give it a shot again.
I do like the idea, though, that for this remaster, they're doing things like permadeath, speedrun
There's a
stuff,
horde mode.
horde mode and stuff. They're giving a bunch of different options so that for major fans of Days Gone, they can just go and enjoy it and do like what they want to do. The whole aspect of speedrunning a game and stuff like that still highly popular
Yeah.
and stuff. And I'm kind of curious though to see like a Days Gone speedrun.
Yeah, that game it's a long ass game. It's like that was like the
Yeah,
main complaint about the game was like the game was like when the game came out like there was a lot of bugs and issues with it, but like once like the main complaint other than that was like the game just never ends. It was like way too long. So I don't know. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna give it a shot. I want to give it a proper try again. So I don't know. Maybe not when it comes out. Like I'll probably just go ahead and buy the $10 upgrade. But when if there's ever like we ever get a break it in gaming when not there's not like great games coming out, which seems like never anymore. Um, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, it's cool that like I like the fact that like not like obviously the PlayStation's been doing this the whole time where it's like a $10 upgrade for these remasters since the PS5's come out. But yeah, it's cool like now they're adding like instead of just like hey it looks better and there's more accessibility and like 3D audio, dual sense features, but like also like it's like Last of Us Part 2 they just like the remaster they added like a whole fucking roguelike mode to it. So it's just like it's cool like they're like honestly like these like things they're adding to it is like they're adding whole new modes to these things, and you're getting like the full game that runs and looks better for $10. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, I understand though. Like Days Gone is like the punching bag of PlayStation lately for yeah, like 6 years now. But next up, this leaked earlier in the day. Like the store page went up on like GameStop and Best Buy. But we're getting a Digimon Time Stranger, and it's like basically like a AAA Digimon game that is coming this year. Apparently, you're time traveling. Gables, I asked this during the state of play. Are there like kids that like Digimon nowadays, or is it like just people that are like us? They're like in their mid 30s. There's like people that are still Digimon fans.
That's a hard one to answer, Tyler,
Have you met
because
a Digimon fan that is like younger than like mid 30s?
well, no, I haven't. Not for a long, long time.
Yeah,
But that's not to say that there aren't any Digimon fans under the age of 30. But at the same point, you did bring up a good question. because for this game in and of itself, I mean, the core fan base of it would have to be people along the lines of like the hardcore Digimon fans, because it's like what they present and what they're doing with this game. It's kind of an weird one because this is kind of like a I know there's like a lot more effort inside like a standard Digimon game because what you were expecting is okay, you have a protagonist that's stuck in the digital world or something like that, and they have to raise a group of monsters, digital monsters, in order to try to go and try to defeat some big bad, then escape out of the freaking thing like some gigantic like isekai anime you have to go through and you know get out of the game in order to get back into the real world or
Hmm.
some shit. But no, the trailer threw me off, dude, because I was watching it and all of a sudden it just went to it's like Digimon. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the best reaction I saw though was from Maximilian Dude. You know, this is something super serious, like in terms of like Bandai Namco. It's like, oh, okay. And all of a sudden Digimon popped up and just started laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, like it would have been a lot more shocking if like I didn't see the post earlier today. But yeah, like I'm just like I'm baffled. Like it's not like Digimon's been like this like well taken care of IP. It seems like there's not like a major
Well,
there's not
no.
like a huge anime out there. I mean like you can talk about the quality of some of the Pokemon games we've gotten in the last 25 years, but I mean they're still like putting out we're getting some good ones and like they're constantly like there's a major like there's multiple major animes is like yeah, but it's just wild. Like I just want to like I want to meet somebody that wasn't there when like us that was there during the original run of that anime. Uh,
Mm.
that's like that chose to be a Digimon fan, like that was born like 2000 on. You know, that's between the age like I'm talking like 25 or younger. I want to know who's out there. What kind of freak is out there? You're a freak. I'm sorry, but come on, what the fuck are we doing here? There's better things to do with your time. You know, fucking Digimon.
Well, I'm holding out some hope that this game is going to actually be somewhat fun, you know, somewhat interesting because I kind of want to see more great Digimon games because there are Digimon games that are not that great, like say the original one on the PlayStation,
Yeah, all the ones
and
on
then
PlayStation.
to some extent, like the second and the third game for the PlayStation. Well, even though I don't like have too much heavy nostalgia, all I do have nostalgia for is just that original game and me trying to just try to get used to the whole aspect of controls and like the different types of like things, the features and stuff, and then all of a sudden having my Agumon just evolve into the Slugmon and stuff that just eats its own poop. You know, it's just so weird. Some bits of that Digimon stuff just wasn't taken care of when it was translated, like the video game stuff. But I know Cyber Sleuth was a pretty decent game in terms of like a Digimon game from God, like what? How long ago was that? Like 2017, 2018, or something like that. I mean, there have been some decent games released on the PS4 and on Switch, from what I understand. Can't really vouch for them because I hadn't really played any of them. But what I'm just saying is I'm holding out hope that this is going to be a fun game that people are going to want to get into.
Sure, I still think they're freaks. Um, if you're under 30, you're a freak. Um, Next up, this one I'm really excited for. Directive 8020. This is coming. This is the Dark Pictures new game from Supermassive. This is like their Dark Pictures anthology they've been making. I think that's also with Bandai Namco. Um, we got a new trailer for this one. I think we had like a little teaser back at Game Awards. They had like a little teaser. They always do like a little like 10-second teaser at the end of the last Dark Pictures game. But we've always got one a year from them. I think going back to 2019 to 2023, we got one a year, and they finally took a year off because like there's been issues with like the last couple that came out, like they can't like the I can't remember the one that was like it's like based off of like H. Holmes. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really really good. But like I had to wait like 4 months to play. I waited like 4 months to play it, just because it came out. It was just like it came out like they always like put them out like before Halloween. This one came out like late November, and it was just like I think it came out the same day as like Pokemon that last Scarlet and Violet, and I waited till like February to finally play it because it was like there's so many bugs and issues with it. Like so like they definitely needed time and like they were also like during that point there they did like a PSVR 2 game. They did the Quarry. They did that casting of Frank Stone last year. So it's nice they took a year off because like I feel like these Dark Picture games have like there's been some like every single one I feel like has gotten like a number like one number improved. Like the first one, Man of Medan was like a 5, and It was like Little Hope was 6. There was like House of Ashes was like that one's actually like a 7.5, I'd say. And then the last one was actually I think the best one. I can't remember what it's called though. But that was like an 8. But like Casting of Frankenstone was not great. Quarry was fantastic. That was like basically like a full on like 8-hour game. These are the ones that are like 4 or 5 hours. Um, but I'm excited we're getting back to this one. And it's coming out October 2nd, so I'm happy it took a year off. Seems like they needed it, maybe to like refresh, get caught up. And this game isn't gonna come out like super duper. Like it isn't coming out hot. They said it's going for pre-order in June. But it's basically like you're in space, trying to like find a new planet. Earth has been destroyed, but like it's kind of like almost like Alien slash The Thing in space, where like these like some sort of alien creature is like basically like taking over people and like are like creating clones possibly, and you don't know who has been infected or not. So, but yeah, it looks fantastic. I buy every Supermassive game no matter what day one. I even bought the Casting of Frankstone, which the first half was great, and then the second half became a Dead by Daylight game. And I, as a guy that has never played a second of Dead by Daylight, was very confused. So, uh, but yeah, I'm super pumped for that game. This next one though, I about had an aneurysm. It's called Dreams of Another. I thought it was. I saw the Dreams. I was like, oh my god, it's a Dream sequel. It is not. It is. This is made by the Pixel Junk people of all people. Yeah, all people. This is a PS5 and also a VR a game, a PSVR 2 game if you want to play on there. It is a third player exploration action game where it's like very beautiful, like artsy. Like oh, this looks like a very cool like artsy game here. But then like you have a guy like in his PJs with an AK-47 on his back and he shoots things. I think then he has like a grenade launcher and he shoots things and like it turns it like the art turns into different things.
Yeah. Some along the lines of the creator was just saying that he wanted to try to create things from like shooting things
Yeah, it's
or something like that.
first person shooter cozy game.
That's essentially what it looked like. The art style's very the art style is very like stylish. It definitely is something more or less like in terms of like I'm trying to think of the term though in terms of the type of art style because it just kind of looks like a bunch of like how
Like
you would
water
blur
painting.
certain aspects. What's that?
Water painting.
Yeah, it's sort of like kind of like water painting where you're trying to smudge little things together, and all of a sudden it's like it kind of looked like they went with a visual effect to where they did a water paint type of stuff, but they just did it by frame. It looked like and it just felt like it was just kind of like shimmering as it's going forth with a lot of the different stuff they were trying to do. I know for the character that they end up showing and stuff. I mean, him with his gun, just like kind of like they're just painting the walls, quite essentially, and then try to create like certain aspects and to try to move on to like try to solve certain problems or something with that. It just looked like it was fairly unique, but at the same time, I get the idea that what the creator was aiming for. It just seemed kind of a little bit lacking in some sense. That's the kind of overall thing I took away from it because if it's just
Hmm.
creating stuff by playing like a shooter or something like that, then I'm kind of curious to see how much more of the content there is.
Yeah, yeah. This is definitely a game that's like not a me game at all. Like I respect it. I'm a guy that loves playing all kinds of like weird ass games.
Mm,
This will be a game though. Like I can't wait for the people that like this will be somebody's shit, and I can't wait to find that person that this
right.
person's shit, and I can't wait to hear them talk about it and maybe watch them play it. This is like the stuff that I'll be into, but I'll be very happy for those people. Unlike the Digimon fans that are under 25. Um, Next up here, Five Nights at Freddy's: Secret of the Mimic, coming June 13th. I think Gables and I have played a combined 0 seconds of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise.
You'd be correct with that
Yeah,
because every time a Five Nights at Freddy's game is introduced or like announced or something like that, it's just kind of like one of those things where it just doesn't move the needle at all and stuff. It's just okay, well, another Five Nights at Freddy's game. I mean, enjoy it, people that enjoy the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise and stuff. But
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's almost like it's like the opposite of like a Digimon, where it's like if you're over 25 and you like Friday Nights at Freddy, I'm concerned about you. So it really is the opposite. Like I mean, I feel like
oh man.
you're either over 25 and you like Digimon, or you're under 25 and you maybe like Five Nights at Freddy. That's about it. But they just pump these fucking things out. They had that movie come out last year that made a bunch of money. I think there's a sequel coming out this year. Like I don't know. Like Five Nights at Freddy's just pumps money. So and they pump that game out. So next up we got Hell Is Us. This is coming September 4th. I guess that date leaked a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't like something I was like interested, I guess, in looking it up. Um, but this is like almost looks like a kind of reminds me of like Watch Dogs 1, like but like with 2025 graphics. That's also a Death Stranding game. That's also a Souls like game.
Yeah, a lot of core things that they're trying to mix together. I did like the aspect of the action for that game for Hell is Us and
Yeah,
stuff. There were some bits of like the graphical stuff, the cinematics and some of the moments and stuff that look fairly interesting. I'm just very curious about how this game's going to go ahead and fit together. Like, what's the mission structure of this type of stuff? What's the overall sequence of stuff like when you're building up your character and stuff and you have all these different weapons and this and that? I'm just kind of curious like how this action's going to evolve more, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember they it was revealed at the last State of Play, and like one of the big like things they talked about, like the director talked about, was like there's no like there's no like guidance at all. Like it's like you have to find everything. There's no like you find like this note and it's like and then like you read the note and like hey it puts a little like dot on your map. Go here to like do the quest. It's like you got to find everything and it's like all about like there is no like they're big on like there's no hand holding. So this would be a game for people that like if you want like potentially a punishing action game, but also punishing as far as like you got to find everything. Like this will be this will be somebody's bag. Uh, so it will not be my bag.
Hmm.
Uh, that like that thing that turns me off is like I respect that, but it's just not a thing I want. You know. Yeah, but next up here, Lives of P Overture. This is the DLC for Lives of P. You do have to own. This is not standalone. You do have to own the full game to get this DLC or to play this DLC. I don't know, like, as for they. I don't think they said as like how it works is like, um, is this like a DLC you could jump into at any point in time? Do you have to beat the main game? Is like 20 hours in? But this is a prequel to the main game. It's like winter now. So it's like it's like before like the big massacre that happens like that sets up the original game. Um, yeah, Lightspeed is a game like I put like 6 or 7 hours into. I really tried to like get into it, and I just thought the combat like for what I wanted was just too slow. If I'm I like a faster paced fighting game or if like action game. But I know people out there like this is like everybody talks about like a lot of people some of the biggest Souls like fans out there have said this is the best Souls like that wasn't made by FromSoft. So
Well, yeah, understandable. I mean, I kind of am interested in seeing what Overture is going to be, in terms of like its overall content stuff. I mean, I don't really have generally a lot to say about Liza P. I mean, the gameplay, the combat looks interesting. I mean, but I never really had a chance really to dive into it, which I should because I do like the occasional Souls likes game, even though the only one I've really played all the way through is at the main campaign for Elden Ring. That's pretty much it.
yeah, I think it might still be on Game Pass. So that's where I played it. Was on Game
Probably.
Pass. So um, next up though, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. They got another trailer for that one that is coming out. That's actually out now as of recording this. But they put a
Mm.
demo out as well. So if people out there that want to play that, it is out there. I don't know how much there's ads. I feel like I've seen a game. It's like that and Monster Hunter Wilds. I feel like I've like seen these trailers. Like I've seen like 17 different trailers the last like 9 months for these things. So um,
I know, like the gameplay for that just looks absolutely crazy and kind of mental in certain spots, but yet in the best way possible.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, you're controlling like one of our favorite characters inside of that franchise and
Goro,
stuff. Goro. Majima, I think his name
Majima,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just some about them, like character in Majima, something like it's like a pirate, like attire and stuff like that, just going roughshod and stuff with his crew. Though, it just sounds really entertaining.
Yeah. No, it's like I have the utmost respect for the Yakuza slash like a Dragon games. It's just it's one of those franchises where it's like everything I see like looks awesome and fantastic, but it's just like a franchise where it's just like that'll be a franchise that like I feel like if I would have gotten the ground floor, I'd be like the hardest fanboy, like going harder than
Mm.
anybody out there for this franchise. But it's just like at this point, like there's like so much stuff out there. I'm like I respect everything about it. It'll just be one. It's just gonna be one of those ones where it's like it's just I missed the boat on it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna let other people be happy about it. Unlike Digimon fans and Sonic fans, I will not shit on you about it though. Well, Digimon fans under 25, I will shit on you, but 26 and up, you're okay. Kinda. It's still kind of weird. But anyways, it's just like there's so many other better like imagine being our age and there's like 20 different better options out there. And they decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna like Digimon too. It's just fucking weird. Anyways, moving on. This is a game I thought looked fantastic. This is a game we seen years ago. PlayStation announced they're doing like a India and a China hero project where it's basically like there are like small development teams out there, and like basically PlayStation is coming in and essentially funding these games for them. And Lost Soul Aside was, I believe, the first one we've seen from them. This was, like I said, announced years ago. We got a full blown like trailer for this. Looks like a really great like character action game. It's coming out May 30th. It's coming to PS5 and PC. But it looks like I would say closer to like a Devil May Cry or like a um, something like that. Like more of like I was a little scared because I get a little scared sometimes. Where like like Souls like games are just like I love everything about them except for like the punishing difficulty of them. And like 'cause I just don't have the patience or the willpower. No, I'm a weak man. The willpower is power to like uh, fight through these boss fights. I love everything else about them. I love the combat, love everything. I just don't want to deal with like fighting a boss 600 times. But like this Lost Soul side like looked awesome, and then I kind of read a little more about it. It is more of like a Devil May Cry Bayonetta style game. But yeah, I thought this looked absolutely fantastic. Coming out May 30th. Unfortunate date because they the same day it was announced that Elden Ring Night Rain is coming out also on May 30th. So very unfortunate for them that this is happening. So it's just kind of a bad timing for them. What did you think though, Gables?
I thought the action gameplay looked fairly nice and stuff, but still, the release date's very unfortunate. No one's gonna want to play that game if you have Elden Ring Night Rain that releases the same day.
I'll be the one
So,
weirdo playing Lost Soul aside on my PS5 while everybody else is playing Elden Ring.
phew. Yeah, even if they delayed it like for like another week or something like that, it would definitely be better than just releasing simultaneously probably one of the more hyped games of the year.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, well, it's like even if you delay it, like who knows when the Switch 2 is happening. So, but yeah, I thought this game looks really really cool. Just like super fast paced, like sci-fi style. You also like you have like wings and like also he's like almost like a it's like Silver Surfer out there, like transition into like flying around like some really great gigantic boss fights. Yeah, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, like this game could come out and not be a 6 out of 10 style game, but I think it comes out. It's going out. I think it'll be up for pre-order next week. I'm curious what the price point is. If it's full price, maybe a little cheaper. But I don't know. Like if it comes out and like the reviews are solid, like this will be a day one buy for me. Otherwise, I might skip it. But yeah, everything so far I'm seeing looks awesome. So I can't wait to. I'm hoping that game is as good as it looks because even if it comes out it's like an 8 out of 10, I'll be very happy with that. Next up, a game called Metal Eden. This is like kind of like I would say like a it kind of reminds me of like Ghost Runner slash like Titanfall 2 with like the wall running mechanics. But very fast paced. You have like pistols. You just like I said, you run on walls. It's like very another one of those sci-fi FPS games where like basically like you're like a space colony that's like under attack, and like you're trying to like you're just trying to take everybody out and survive. But yeah, this game it just looks super like almost like Doom levels of speed, just constant wall running, like Mirror's Edge style, but like a shooter. But yeah, this game coming out May 6th as well. I don't know what the price point for this one is. Another one though, I want to wait and see what the reviews are like. But this is another one for me though. Where I'm like, this coming day for my birthday. If this comes out, this would be a birthday present to myself, and it comes out and it looks great. So, what about
Hmm.
you, Gibbles?
Culling them along's the same way, you know. It's like I'm just kind of curious to see what the reviews are going to be saying about it because it's definitely promising in terms of what we did see, but at the same point, it's definitely unproven
Huh.
right at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but next up, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta, what the fuck it's called now. That is coming. Obviously, this all leaked out. Otherwise, this would have been a cool ass moment. But trailer looks great. We didn't get see. We haven't seen. My only concern is we haven't seen a lot of gameplay. But I feel like, I mean, obviously this feels like a one-to-one remake. This isn't like a Resident Evil, like a Final Fantasy remake where they kind of reimagine it. But it's coming August 28th. If you do get the deluxe edition for $10 more, you get it. You get a bunch of other like skins and like camo and stuff like that. But also the game comes out. You get it 2 days early. So, but yeah, looks great.
I actually I was probably one of the few that didn't even bother looking into a bunch of the spoiler stuff or like the leak stuff because I was at work, and
Yeah,
then on top of that, while I was working on my station, just popping up on the video on my phone or something like that, just watching little bits of it and just seeing the whole like Metal Gear Solid 3, just popping up. It's like, oh, okay, we're looking a little bit more of it. Oh God, everything about that game, it looks like it's coming along quite well
yeah, yeah. And they
in
also,
terms of looks, in
yeah,
terms of the classic nature of MGS3. They're bringing back the whole aspect of the mini game and stuff for you to capture monkeys via Ape Escape,
yeah.
like it was in Subsistence.
Did you hear about what Xbox and PC is getting instead of Ape Escape?
No,
Bomberman.
Bomberman,
Yeah, yeah. Because
Bomberman.
yeah, it's funny. Jordan Midler from VGC put out. He's like PlayStation's gonna get Master Chief probably in the next year, and these guys PlayStation won't even give up fucking Ape Escape. It's like it's so funny.
Well, if this ever comes onto Nintendo platforms, you know what it's going to be, right? It's going to be Yoshi.
No, they wouldn't do it to Yoshi. Who's somebody they don't care about that much that they do it to? Birdo?
Oh
Maybe
my
Birdo.
gosh. Well, let's think about it. Let's think about it. Metal Gear Solid 3 did release on a Nintendo platform, on the 3DS,
Yeah.
and they had Yoshi, I thought it was.
Was it? I don't. I even pay attention to that one. The only
I think it.
I owned the backgrounds on my 3DS was the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater background,
Yeah.
and that was the only thing I ever did with that game. I had zero interest in playing that on the
Yeah,
3DS.
I understand fully what you're saying though. But that blows my mind, dude, that they have fucking Bomberman that
Yeah,
they're going through it
that's kind of
on
cool
the
though. I guess.
goddamn thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's cool. And the
at least
and
you're
the
getting
other
something.
stuff, it's like it's just Sony just being so petty with like their IP,
Yeah,
at this point, because they're like one of the few other than Nintendo that just doesn't want their IP on other platforms.
yeah, yeah. It's at least, especially on the PC side too. It's very weird. I get,
Oh
I
yeah,
get,
oh
I
yeah, I know, right? The PC side where they put first party games on fucking Steam for God's sake. So
yeah, I don't know. Very weird. Next up here, Mind's Eye is what this one's called. It is made by former like Rockstar people. It says like definitely looks like a really good looking like open world GTA style game, but like really good, really great combat. They said it's very narrative driven, but it has like you have like the kind of like a gear style like crouching like behind cars stuff like that. Like I don't know, I think the gameplay looks great. This game looks like it could potentially be really awesome, but I also like I think there's no middle ground for this game. It's either gonna come out and just be like a gigantic fucking like turd, or this game is gonna be like a like mid eight style game. But yeah, it's coming out in this summer. It's like takes place in like near future, like Americana city called Red Rock. Um, yeah, like I said, it's supposed to come out on PlayStation 5 this summer. But it's also like basically like uh, AI is like essentially like taken over and like you're fighting robots. But I don't know. I think this game looked great from the trailer. It's very weird set of circumstances where this game was like they the studio revealed a game called Everywhere. I think Gamescom 2022. I want to say maybe 2023. Like a lot of people like if I remember correctly, like I remember watching that. Like a lot of people were like we're all like thinking like is this like an NFT game? Because this is like when NFT was really hot at that point in time. Um, and then like they I don't know like what's going on with that game everywhere, but like they kind of spun off like Mind's Eye is like a game that takes like was kind of like branch off from everywhere. I don't know. It's a weird set of circumstances, or I think a lot of people are very confused about it. But I don't know. I thought this looks like it could be a really cool game. What about you though?
it definitely has a feel of a boomer bust to me. I mean, it could just be exactly that, where it's like it may have maybe some good gameplay here or there or something like that, but doesn't fully realize it, or it could just be something that is just complete hot garbage and stuff, and yet it's probably dull, boring, or whatever. It's kind of hard to gauge it with this game currently because, well, it's another kind of like unproven sort of property, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's weird. And then now we're in a time frame where like these smaller studios, like the tools and the engines out there have gotten so good where like these smaller studios can actually like make like really great high quality looking games,
Mm,
but they're like actually like no, they're kind of bad actually. So it's
yeah.
it can be a little deceiving sometimes. But I don't know. I'm it's not one of those ones where like I'm talking about where like this will be a day one buy if it comes out and the reviews are like solid for this thing, or it's gonna be like a massive like turd in a punch bowl. Next up though, we got a little Capcom section here. I'm just gonna run through these together. Monster Hunter Wilds, we got another trailer for that one. They
Hmm.
also announced some like post-launch DLC that'll be happening in the spring. Like they're adding a new monster, I believe in April, and a couple other things as well. Onimusha Way of the Sword, we got a brand new trailer for, and then Onimusha 2, which they announced last week at the Capcom showcase for Spotlight, whatever it was called, is coming May 23rd. It's coming to last
Mm.
gen and next gen. Gables, once again, what the fuck was the point of that goddamn Capcom Spotlight? They did it last week. They gave us literally no new news out of it. No new news. We got a release date for that Capcom Fighting Collection, and then they announced Onimusha 2. I shouldn't say literally no news, but then they showed the same trailer over again for fucking Onimusha Way of the Sword, and then they gave us a brand
Yep.
new trailer a week later at the PlayStation event, and then gave us a release date for Onimusha 2 remastered, and then we got all the post launch DLC for fucking free DLC for Monster Hunter Wilds. God damn it, Capcom.
Well, that's the thing. They've been doing well in terms of like a lot of the different games that they're presenting, but at the same time, it's like the timing and like the repetitiveness of like certain trailers, certain reveals, like lack of dates one week and all of a sudden the next week having this, it can be frustrating. And this was definitely a good example in terms of what happened here in the state of play.
Yeah,
But my God, it kind of is what it is with this.
yeah. Just God, it's just like it's baffling. Some people should just not be allowed to put on showcases. I feel like we need like a czar out there for video game showcase events, whatever state of plays, whatever. Where it's like they go through like no, absolutely, absolutely, no, you can't have one. All right, like we need somebody out there that like be in charge of this. I'll be that guy. I'll let you know if it's good enough. If I see one goddamn Sonic thing in there, you're done. You're not. You're banned for a year. Um, Next up though, they talk about PlayStation Plus. They announced Lost Record Bloom and Rage Tape One is coming on day one to the surface for the if you get PlayStation Plus Extra. So that's pretty cool. So I was gonna buy the game. I think it's like $50. But if I can just upgrade to my I have the base PlayStation Plus, but for like $5 I can upgrade to the extra category, and I'm just gonna play it on there. So that's great for me. So they don't do a lot of day one games. They announced a few other ones as well for it, like Blueprints and Abotic Factor, I believe is the other one. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, this one I'm like, oh hey, this is very cool. So I'm happy about that. Uh, Next up, though, we already kind of touched upon it, though, but that Saros, I believe is how you say it, that was announced. That's the
Hmm.
Housemark game that's coming in 2026. They did say we'll get gameplay for that later this year. But yeah, it's Rahul Cooley as the main protagonist in this game. They say it's gonna be kind of it's not a sequel to Returnal, but it's gonna be another like Returnal style game, which a lot of people love Returnal. I want to go back and give Returnal a real shot. I played it for like an hour when it first came out, and I rented it and never played it again. Now I've like dipped my toes in a lot more roguelikes since then. I'm gonna give this one a real shot. I'm gonna go whenever there is like an actual gap in the video game schedule for me, which honestly maybe never. But if there ever is one, I will give Returnal will be that game I'll give a shot. What would you? But you kind of talked about the Gables, but you kind of what was your final thoughts on that one? I guess.
My final thoughts of it is like I'm interested in knowing about more, like Saros and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just very much interested in seeing how the gameplay is going to be going through. I mean, we saw little bits of like hints of it with those little blaster little things and stuff, like reflecting inside the dude's eye or some shit or whatever the hell
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. All the
But
orbs coming out.
all the orbs and stuff. I'm just really interested in seeing how this combat is going to be fun, but also somewhat different than what we had with Returnal, because you don't want just like the same old thing in terms of, oh, okay, this is just more of this, and even though it's was fun the first time and stuff like that. If you don't add anything like extra to it, or you don't have something that's more like a sort of like a latch on to where, oh, okay, I have to play just one more game or just one more run, just one more run. You need that mentality first and foremost with like any type of great roguelike game because you want to convince the player that you want to come back and play it over and over. I think the core concept of what they've shown so far in terms of the story and also in terms of the visual stuff, it looks fairly fascinating,
Mm.
like the whole aspect of this being like a sci-fi sort of Groundhog's Day type of effect, is kind of cool. But I'm waiting for that direct or that showcase where they're just going to show more of this game.
Yeah, yeah. I think in-house Mark is one of those studios out there where like their history of them, we know they have the stuff. So I feel pretty confident the game will be pretty great when it comes out. You talked about already though, Gables. Shinobi Art of Vengeance that is coming August 29th. This is made by the Streets of Rage 4 team. Yeah, that's coming to last gen and this current gen. So I mean, this is like definitely like a Gables ass Gable game if I've ever seen one.
Well, absolutely, because there's a bunch of action stuff. There's definitely a lot of nostalgia inside of this game, obviously. I love action games, especially the 2D action style of platformers. Loved playing Ninja Gaiden, loved playing Shinobi 3. This definitely looks this definitely looks up my alley. I mean, everything just clicks with this, fast-paced action, a lot of like difficult spikes in terms of like enemies and stuff, bosses and stuff, and then try to get through certain levels and stuff. Just the cell shaded graphics, everything else looks fantastic in motion. It definitely feels like a natural evolution of like the Shinobi franchise, like from over like what the last major Shinobi game I think was like on the 3DS,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, because it was like a remake of the first. I think that's the last thing I can think of. But there was a Shinobi game that was on the PS2 as well, but I don't think it's really related to it, even though it's put out by Sega. Um, but even along those lines, everything I've seen from the action to how the game looks to just the overall thing, and it's also, I believe this is being made by the same developers as like Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely have a bunch of confidence in that because of how well Streets of Rage 4 turned out.
Mm.
It just feels like to me that this game, I'm not too sure whether it was just going to be like a beat 'em up style of like Shinobi game or it was just going to be a straight action game, kind of like it was back on the Genesis.
Yeah, they said it's
But
level based, so it's not like a
oh, level based.
Metroidvania or anything. It's like yeah, it should be more like what you expect from a Shinobi game.
Oh shit. Okay, so that also makes me a little bit more excited because it's not going to overstay its welcome with that stuff then.
Yeah.
So that definitely is much more exciting. We're looking at maybe at most maybe a 5 or 6 hour game, and that actually kind of excites me if they hyper hone in on everything that kind of made that style of game fairly great, which was memorable bosses, like obviously a bunch of the special arts and stuff and the artistry stuff. But coming out in August, yeah, that's perfect time for that.
Mm.
In the midst of the heat and stuff like that, have yourself a hard ass game just to play through. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I expect a lot of good things coming out of the Shinobi game.
Comes out the day after Metal Gear Snake Eater, so that's kind of rough.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up though, we got a Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So another Sonic kart game where but
Uh
they
huh.
they do like they're gonna have like levels that are like other Sega games looks like as well. So that is coming. They said there's going to be a closed like beta test next week. So there is that. Um,
Okay. That's not too surprising. From the initial stuff that we saw from that trailer, it looks like they borrowed some levels and some aspects from All Stars Racing Transformed.
yeah,
I
it
mean, I
says
played a bunch of.
it's kind of like a direct sequel to that. Sounds like.
I think that's probably the better option because I thought some of the best portions of like All Stars Racing Transformed is you can transform into like various different types of vehicles. The controls in terms of how you navigate around the tracks and stuff is much more fluid as opposed to just Sonic Team Racing. I had a chance to play that like a couple of years ago at this point and stuff, and while the racing stuff was fine, everything else was just severely lacking about that game. But at least with this Crossroads one, it just makes it seem like that there is like just different aspects of maybe not just the Sonic series, and possibly like other Sega series, just kind of intermingling with each other without actually like going outright and saying so.
Mm.
But if they stick with what made like All Stars Racing Transform like a fun racer, which was hey, multiple different levels, definitely a lot of homages to past like Sega franchise games and stuff. Even if it's something obscure like say like I'm trying to think of a good one here, not just Shinobi. I'm talking about like um God damn it, man. It's
Skies of
like
Arcadia,
oh, it's Skies of Arcadia. Yeah, yeah. Let's
Binary
just use that for
Domain,
example. Oh my god, that'd be pretty hilarious. Like
Sleeping
a dude
Dogs.
the binary done maintenance of a fucking go kart.
Yeah, wait, Sleeping Dogs didn't say. Yeah,
No, Sleeping Dogs is not.
yeah, sorry.
But yeah, just have like say verse or Vars or something like that from fucking like Skies of Arcadia and stuff inside the middle of that, like going through the whole freaking pirate ship or some shit, or just like that just floating around the background. We just going
Drive
through
to
a
the
bunch of
whale's
different
mouth.
islands. It's no, yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. But next up, though, we have Tides of Annihilation. This is a studio called Eclipse Glow Studio. This is another first-person action game. Great time to be an action game guy if that's what you're into.
Mm,
This is I think this game is probably I don't know a ways away. They didn't give a time frame for this. I think it's the only game they didn't give a time frame for, not even like a year. But they said it's now in development for PlayStation 5. I don't know if it's coming to other consoles or PC as well, but basically like it's a third person action game. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Gives me like kind of
yep.
like almost like Final Fantasy 16 style like gigantic boss fights, old school like God of War looking, where it's like you're like turns like 2D and you're climbing up things, or like you're climbing across walls, like you're sliding down like things like in the sky. Yeah, fast paced. Like this is like yeah, looks like kind of like Lost Soul Side. Looks fantastic. They put out like 11-minute
Mm.
long gameplay video. I think Thursday or Friday, and I watched that. And I was like, yeah, this looks like my shit. This game looks fantastic. And if you like jiggly boobs, if that they're also there for you as well.
I gotta say though, I mean that game looked absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Not just like this everything else like emotion and stuff like that. It's just looks like it's just a fun ass action game.
Yeah.
You just turn your brain off and stuff, and then just mow down a couple dozen enemies and stuff, and then just do a bunch of different shit. It just seems like it's coming along fairly nicely.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more for that one. Speaking of turning your brain off and mowing out a bunch of enemies, Warriors Abyss was announced and shadow dropped on the day of the state of play. This is a Dynasty Warriors roguelike. It's basically like almost like a Vampire Survivors Dynasty Warrior game. I had a buddy of mine. I was like, oh, this is like I saw this. I'm like, he is a gigantic Vampire Survivors, Hades, and Dynasty Warriors. Like those are like his favorite franchises. And I sent him that. He's like, holy shit balls. This is his response. And he's like, he immediately bought it. And I looked on Steam. He's been playing a fuck ton of it. So yeah, this is definitely a game that like there's an audience for this out there that'll love this. And yeah,
Dude,
it looks like it's really good. So for people out there that want it,
I think you just introduced him to his game of the year.
yeah, I got might be his game of the decade.
Dude, can I just say just the idea from when you see the reveal trailer of this game, it was just so fucking weird and random, dude. It's like we just get like the Warriors games that came out like in January,
Yeah,
and you have like a roguelike one, just a shadow drops right in the middle of this PlayStation
yeah,
showcase.
yeah, wild. $25
I mean,
too.
the game itself kind of looks interesting, but at the same time, I'm kind of wondering how the hell all this roguelike stuff works without freaking mowing down your thing
I
like game like this.
I heard it's pretty good though. So Gables is gonna play this game, and it's every night for like 6 years he's gonna play this. So that's what's gonna happen. Uh, but last but not least here, Paul Heyman showed up from WWE. We got a trailer for WWE 2K25. The game comes out March 14th. We already knew that Roman Reigns is on the cover. We've heard him talk. We keep like seeing little sneak peeks at the island. What is the island? And I think a lot of people like that know the 2K games already pretty much knew what it is, and they basically confirmed it. It is
Yeah.
basically like the streets is like what kind of what they do in the NBA 2K games, and it's basically like it's almost like a PlayStation Home for that game, but it's like it is like all about microtransactions.
Yep.
Your character's gonna be like a fucking 52 overall, but if you want to make them like a 77, pay the fuck up. You want these there's a Nike store in there, there's a Jordan store in there. If you want to like, hey, if you want to look cool and you want like, oh, you want this haircut, $15. Now we're not talking like in game, we're talking real life money. So yeah, there's like I mean, it looks like in theory it would be cool, but when you get to the financial side of it, it's going to be a fucking money pit for people.
Well, I mean, I can understand why they went this route. I mean, 2K's done this ad nauseum with the NBA 2K games over the past like how many years now?
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I get that there are people that are probably gonna play like one game a year. And if you're playing like this one WWE game a year, I mean, oh hey, more power to you.
If there's,
At the same time,
I'm sorry, I got cut you off. If there's somebody out there that only plays the WWE 2K games and that's the one game they play all year, what the fuck is wrong? That's worse than being a Digimon fan under 25. Like,
just that one random sports jock that just gets all the sports games every year and stuff and just
that's
plays those
respectable. I can
games like
respect that,
over.
but that I can respect that because there's like a whole like no, there's like you have online dynasties, there's online franchises, there's fucking mutt out there. There are things to do. We're talking about WWE 2K games that were good until like last year. And there's people. If there's somebody out there that just plays this game for like 1,000 hours a year, who the fuck are you? And I was gonna say let me email me, but actually don't email me. I don't want to know you. Just block me so I never know you have to exist.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, I mean, like I was saying, this whole like bloodlines style of like overture in terms of this like my superstar type of thing. I mean, it's the concept is fascinating, but at the same time, it's just a cover to what we know that 2K was going to do eventually. That was
Yeah.
just do a hell of a lot of like microtransactions for like different types of cosmetics and stuff. I mean, they already had a lot with like their trading card aspects, like in the past few
Mm.
years with the 2K games. Now it's like front and center, unapologetic, this and that. I mean, it's option, right? It's an option. You don't necessarily have to do any of these things if you really want to
No.
play just the base core wrestling stuff. Which you know what, that's pretty much what people are going to go forth and do. And you know what's even more hilarious? It's like if you buy 2K like 26 and stuff, you're entitled to 2K 25. It's like for free for if you pre-order the game and stuff like that. You just get 2K 24. Like no, 2K 25 is like as like just an extra sort of like add-on and stuff, just to tide you over.
Yeah. Hmm. It'll be the
But
same game minus the island. So
you don't really know. Yeah, it just could be just like the same game, only like just a little bit worse
yeah.
because there's certain features probably missing.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, there was reports out there that WWE was upset by the lack of microtransactions in the game a few years ago. So this is the thing that they added to be the new thing for them. So I'm not surprised this is the thing they did. It does suck though because it seems like honestly like the coolest feature they've done to a WWE game for me for like 20 years. It's like cool. I have zero interest in ever touching that thing. Just because of like I'm not like anti microtransactions, but I'm anti Take Two's microtransactions. As someone that
Yeah.
used to love those NBA 2K games, my superstar mode, like when they first started doing it, and then they added the microtransaction side of it, and like how
Mm.
disgusting that got. I'm like, yeah, no, there's a level to me where like I feel like I'm pretty cool with microtransactions more than most people. But Take Two is by far the worst at them than anybody. Um,
Yeah, understood.
but let's just move on here. We're going long, so let's jump into what we've been playing. Gables, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Why don't you go first this time?
Okay, I've only really been playing one game. I talked about it. I got Avowed to pay the $20 to get the 5 days early and just started playing it today. I put um I'm getting close to like 6 hours into it now. So a good chunk of time. I'm like still very early on. I just did like the first couple like main story missions. Like I did like the opening area, that like get like essentially like to set up the story and stuff like that. And I'm in the first I'm in the first area. I did the thing though I always complain about that I do every single time where as soon as the game opens up, I just go off into the open world. And then I'm like, man, if
Yep.
I would have just focused, did like 3 story missions, uh, it would have made everything way easier. I would have way more tools, way better weapons, or way better abilities. And like I did the same thing. I walked around for like 2 hours. I'm like, man, I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm like, I'm not doing great here. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I finally did like 2 missions, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, I got like way better. Like I understand way more what I'm doing here. I got better. I got some better upgrades. I've like leveled up a little more, and like I got some, like I said, I got a couple new abilities that make things a lot easier. No, so I think it was really cool. So like, Avowed, like people don't know, this is Obsidian. This is basically like Obsidian, like Fallout New Vegas, maybe like South Park: Stick of Truth, Pillars of Eternity games, like Outer Worlds. Like I've said for several years now, like Obsidian is maybe like quietly the best studio the Xbox has bought in the last like 6 7 years. Maybe it won't be the biggest because of like Bethesda and Activision, but stuff like that. But I think as an individual studio, I feel like no one's done more for Xbox since in the last 6 years than them. With like Grounded, um, Outer Worlds, Pentiment, now this, and there's a couple of the ones that I'm probably forgetting as well. But and then they got Outer Worlds 2 later this year. Um, but I've been a big fan. Like Stick of Truth was my game of the year in 2014. I really loved Outer Worlds when I played that. I believe in 2023 I finally played that, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So I've been really excited for this one. Like I'm somebody like I didn't really care for Oblivion. I played a few hours of it way back in the day. Didn't really care for it. I played like 20ish hours of Skyrim, and it just wasn't for me. And this is like I think it's more like my style. Like it's so much more colorful. Like I always feel like Bethesda games are always just so gray and like bland to me. And like also like I feel like the writing of like the Obsidian team is just fantastic. Like especially like Outer Worlds and like Stick of Truth are like incredibly funny, but also like really great characters. Obviously, Stick of Truth like they have the help with like the Matt and Trey, but like Outer Worlds was like incredibly funny, well written characters, and same thing with this thing. I've so far is like it's not like laugh out loud funny, but there are definitely funny moments. Like I love the fact that, like I'm at this point now where like I don't know, like as much as I love like Mass Effect, like the whole black and white good for just pick the good option or the bad option, and you're kind of you got to pick one road and you got to stick with it. Like at this point, gaming is like so overdone. Like I just like now you're just like role playing in this game. Like I can just pick and choose. Like not every like this I'm like this person. I'm just gonna be an asshole to you for no reason. Like there was like um one like encounter I had with the person where it's like I had like 3 options, and one was like thank you, like just say thank you, and then one was like enthusiastic thank you, and the other one was like thank you with a question mark. And I was just like I did that one like just kind of like because the guy was being a dickhead. I'm like thank you I guess, but I don't know, like I've definitely had like some fun encounters. I did create my character. I created Timeless Tony Storm. She's a professional wrestler. I mimicked her off that one. I did my best. I'm not the greatest. I don't have the most patience for these character creator things, but I feel like I did a pretty good job overall. uh, but yeah, going around, I met Kai, who's like the first like companion you got. I just unlocked the second one. But Kai is he is the voice actor of Garrus, and he sounds just like Garrus. He's basically Garrus, and he's blue. So I'm like, fuck yeah, they knew what they were doing. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, this is awesome. He like talks to me, and I'm like, I like he says things. I'm like that, like is he like alluding to like I don't think he is, but I'm like what? In my mind, he is actually just Garrus, but like he's like in like now he's in this game. So am I like this character? This Kai is like basically just Garrus, but and like he's like he remembers everything that happened in Mass Effect 1 through 3, but now he's in this game, and that's who this Kai is gonna be for me. Cause like, but yeah, I absolutely love him. I what's great too is like there's no like you don't pick like a character class at all in this. Like you can just like you can kind of take abilities from all of them, or you can kind of focus like on any of them. Like you get like your skill tree and stuff like that. Every time you level up, you get ability points, and like you have like there's like the mage one, there's range, and there's like the melee style, and you can like put skills into any one of the skill trees. You can bounce around. You like basically like in the first couple hours of the game, I had um like a version of a weapon for like essentially each class, and multiple different options of them, and like I was great because I was able to
Mm-hmm.
like play around with all of them. I had like a bow, I had like a rifle, I had a two-handed like a big huge great axe you use with 2 hands because you can dual wield weapons. I had like a wand for like being a mage. I had like the book that you can like cast spells with, and like I played around with all like a bunch of different options. It took me like I'd say like I was also struggling with the gameplay as well because I was like I wasn't like vibing with any of like with some of the options. I was like mixing and matching, and it was great. I finally like found like the one I like though was like I have my right hand I have a sword, and then my left hand I have a pistol, and I'm like and like also like I added like I found like a really great. I eventually actually found a dagger. So you have to get closer, but it does fire damage. And then
Oh, okay.
so that's pretty cool. And then like you can have two different like you can like hit the Y button, like switch weapons. So you can actually have two loadouts ready. And my second one is a bow and arrow. And that's my other one I'm using right now. I might switch to a rifle, but I found a bow and arrow I'm liking right now. But the big thing they talk about is like they really hammered it home to like early on, and I kind of ignored them for a while. And this definitely made the fighting more difficult for me. Was like um, they like really push like upgrading your weapons because like leveling up doesn't necessarily like just increase your stats. Like there are like I said that you get ability points for the skill tree, and then there's like you have like your dexterity, your like your you can put like 1 point into like each one like your like I can't think of the other ones, but like there's the like the power, defense, stuff like that. There's all those ones like and love, but like you don't just like all your not you know it's not just like Pokemon like all your base points go up. Like the best like you see like enemies you'll see like there are like skulls over their head. There can be up to three. Like if there's like one skull, he's like he's gonna be a little harder than base enemies, but there's three like he can fucking one shot you. And there's been a couple enemies where I'm like they one shot me, it took me out. But like you don't like okay I'm level 20 now, but I have the same equipment as I did at level 3. All of a sudden I'm gonna walk in and like run these people over. No, the way to like get those skulls to go down to make it enemies easier is upgrading these weapons. And I'm someone that's like in gaming where like I usually don't upgrade weapons early on in these style games. I usually wait till later in the game. I find the weapons I like, and I find like the higher, like the more, like the better weapons, and then that's why I start investing like my resources and stuff that I have into upgrading the weapons. But no, this game is all about you need to upgrade early on, and like I found like okay, so like once I realized that a few hours in, I'm like okay, no, I need to like focus on, like I said, I found the weapons I liked. I found a good like maybe don't go crazy like upgrading early on, but like walk around, fight enemies, find what kind of setup works for you, and then start upgrading the weapons. And if you can find like weapons, weapons that you like as well, on top of that, even better. So yeah, like once I did that in the last few hours now of like I found my loadout I like. I found a really good dagger. The pistol I can take or leave it with. I'm hoping to find ones later on, but I also found like these like charms. You can have like two charms with you, and one of them is like if you do when you do critical damage, and also it does poison. So like when you go to shoot like your bow and arrow or you shoot your gun, they'll like you can see like the weak point will show up on the enemy. So you can actually hold on like the left trigger or the right trigger, whatever one you have it on, and like it'll you can like kind of like load it and like it'll do a bigger blast or bigger like more powerful arrow shot,
Mm.
but it'll show the weak point. So when I hit him in the weak point, it gives him poison as well. So it's like it does more damage on top of a critical hit. So like I have my dagger that does flame damage as well. So like I found like a really good layout where like I'm definitely like there's definitely like if you get like surrounded by enemies, they can fuck you up pretty good still. Like it definitely could be a struggle. But like I said though, like it's gotten a lot easier, and like I'm just having a great time like just wandering around. Like this isn't like an open world game, but like I'm in the first area so far is decently sized, and like I've only done like I said the first couple like story missions out since I've gotten to this first area, and like I recommend doing those. And like, but now I'm just going around like exploring the world, and like I found like a spider, like a cave, and like with a bunch of spiders, and I found this really hard like a boss, and like that I found like a really good boots and stuff like that. Like the game is all about like you're not gonna just get like awesome weapons from like doing like main story quests. It's like you gotta like explore to like find these weapons and stuff like that. I'm really liking it like so far, and like definitely like I said like it's not like laugh out loud funny, but I think like the kind of sarcastic humor of some of the characters, the overall like conversation we're having so far has been pretty awesome. And like just the role playing. But yeah, I'm like so far like I'm like said like 5.5 6 hours in, but I'm absolutely been blown away by so far what I play here. And like I don't know, maybe when I get 25 hours in, I'll feel differently. Maybe I'll kind of like all right, I'm kind of like I've lost my steam on it. But yeah, so far this has been a big thumbs up. It's gonna be on Game Pass on Tuesday. So if you have a PC or you have Xbox, this is like I feel like this is like a must play. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome. But Gables, what have you been playing, buddy?
Okay, so to get ready for that whole like Yu-Gi-Oh like Legacy Collection stuff that's going to be coming out fairly soon, I was going on PSN a couple nights ago, and it's like, okay, well let's see what's going on here in terms of like what I can play, and up until then and stuff, and I saw that they had the other Yu-Gi-Oh game that was on the PS4 on sale. So it was like, what was it, $6 or something like that. It was like it's normally like about 30. I think it's like 20 or $30 and stuff. So I managed to buy that Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of Duelist Link Evolution,
Yeah,
which basically is just there are some changes that they made as opposed to like say Legacy of the Duelist. Like they've added all the DLC content that wasn't prevalent inside the original version of it. Plus, they've actually changed a couple of like artistry decisions. Like it's not like a generic sort of like 3D background like they did have. I mean, there's some like it looks like water paint is on like the a lot of the background, so it's kind of like a little bit better in terms of some visual stuff. And you know how like when you're playing Legacy of the Duelist, where there will be some key monsters that will pop up, and it just looks like some sort of weird like 3D back like 3D animation thing just pops up from the card and stuff, and it
yeah.
just takes super long in terms of their
I just turned that
animation, and
off.
then it's yeah, well they did a better job in terms of that, where it's like the monsters will still appear, right? But it's just a cut cinematic. They'll just pop up, they'll just do their attack, and then like a few seconds later it's done. It's not like say a 10 or 20 second type of wind up animation. It's more like about a 5 second. It's more like a 5 and 10 second one. And I'll tell you what, already from the get go, some of these trainer battles, I mean not trainers, but like some of these duelist battles and stuff, they definitely had increased a little bit more of like the difficulty of that because they introduced new batches of cards. Obviously, a lot of the link of like the link skill link cards or something like that they're called are readily apparent, especially when it comes to a lot of the duelists, what they use inside their decks, or like just specific cards in general that some of these like duelists wouldn't normally have. Like for example, I'm playing through the original Yu-Gi-Oh campaign because I love playing through that original campaign, and there are just some different cards that say like what Kaiba uses for his first battle, or for what Joey uses as his battle, or even for say what America uses in his stuff. But the overall core stuff remains the same, right? It's like you're battling this like the duelists and stuff, gather a bunch of like duelist points and stuff in order to try to open these digital packs, right? With the in-game currency. It doesn't have like a set thing where you're actually putting physical money into this in terms of like unlocking the cards that you want. But my experience of it has been pretty good. Obviously, this is the type of game I kind of wanted to play anyway because this is kind of like one of those little time wasters before like another big game comes along. And I do have interest in playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the Legacy Collection stuff when it does release. And also I do have an interest in playing Monster Hunter Wilds when that somewhat releases in the next couple of weeks. But
Yeah, they come out one day apart. So
I know, right? I know, right? When I'm not playing one, just like chilling and playing the other.
yeah,
Oh God. But as you'd expect, I put like about 6 to 8 hours in this damn game this past week because, well, of course I am. And part of it was just experimenting with just like the core aspect of what I got from the beginning of like the starter deck and stuff. Because the starter deck, when you start out with this game, it's just basically kind of like a beatdown deck to where you have the strongest monsters that they're giving you like 1850 attack, like Blazing Apache, and then you have like the dragon dwelling in the cave. It's like 2000 defense, so it's like three of that on top of all these normal type monsters combined with one heart of the underdog that if you go and use that in battle, I mean, it's just kind of the basic thing where you're probably going to win a couple battles, but you're definitely going to need to you like get new cards in order to improve your starter deck in order to try to streamline a lot of the different duels inside here. One of my favorites is one of my favorite things that I'm doing currently is I'm trying to find different cards to recreate like another Exodia deck in terms of like the whole one turn kill sort of philosophy and stuff. So I'm using cards that you would normally have either one of or just wouldn't use at all because it's the story mode. Like three Graceful Charity, three Pot of Greed, three Upstart Goblin, and just basically having a whole bunch of spell cards that will go through and draw the specific cards that I need. What's the biggest pain in the ass is like I've used this exact same deck against one of the rare hunters that just specifies and just use an Exodia, and then just try to get the different cards from winning matches against him, only to be like one shotted like during his first turn or his second turn. It's like he fuses. it's almost clockwork. Like two or three graceful charity, two like pot of greeds, maybe like an upstart goblin, and all of a sudden he has all the fucking pieces inside of it in just like 2 turns, and I'm like, crap. Well, this is definitely gonna be a while here. So I managed to get some bits and pieces here. I finally was able to advance a little bit more with the story mode. I get to where the Battle City matchup between like Kaiba and like Ishizu, and the whole thing about Ishizu's deck is her deck is specified to where she has to mill her deck in order to get to one trap card, and that's Exchange of Spirits. And what does Exchange of Spirits do? Well, first off, it's one of the most powerful trap cards in the game because it allows you, when activated, to completely switch your deck with your graveyard. So, for example, if you mill through the entirety or the most of the entirety of your deck in the span of like a couple of turns and then activate that trap card, let's just say the graveyard of your opponent is going to be like maybe at best 3 to 5 cards, where their deck is going to be like like about maybe 20 plus. So it forces you to try to find a way to counteract having this trap card activate and this and that. And yeah, it hasn't been a good time as of yet because I tried doing it with my Exodia deck. I took too long. The exchange of spirits happened and stuff, and basically I just decked out and lost that match. But everything else has been sort of like the same so far. The thing I haven't tried though is like some of these battle pack ones. There's this particular mode that you can actually play specific like Yu-Gi-Oh matches with. You get like a whole bunch of random like packs of like these Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff. Open them up, construct a deck and stuff, and then just go with it that way. I haven't tried that yet. And I dare not try anything online because holy fuck, I don't think so. There's too many options, there's too many things I don't know in terms of how to use certain like say Synchro or XYZ or like Link monsters or Pendulum monsters and stuff in order to try to gain what could be a particularly fun deck to play with that's not going to be not going to be it's just not going to be something that's just going to be trash in the span of like a turn or two, you know. So it's just trying to get my feeling in terms of how to get comfortable with that. But other than that, I did invest inside of like a Super Nintendo this past week. Had a chance to try one out. It was at my workplace. It was definitely like it was for sale like for about roughly a week, and then I just ended up buying it because I needed an extra Super Nintendo because I just remembered one of my other ones was crapping out badly. And so I played a little bit of Super Metroid on the thing, and oh god, there's just nothing like the feeling of playing an original game on its console because using the using and trying to relearn how you're playing this game is kind of one of the fun parts about it because I can remember certain spots that I can go to like when I did play this game last, but yet learning how to wall jump inside of Super Metroid can be such a time consuming affair because you have to be super precise with Samus, like doing her roll, her like flipping jump or something like that, and then just time off the walls and stuff and try to get to higher spaces or to areas you're not supposed to be in, which I've done that before. I've gone through entirely different areas and got certain power ups before I was supposed to because I just managed to wall jump just right off of like different platforms and stuff. That's just one of the main reasons why people love speedrunning the game is because you can use like certain abilities and get certain like routes you can use without like doing certain portions of the game and just get a better time doing it. But yeah, I just tried that out for like a few hours and stuff. Got through one of the first bosses. Well, I was on Brinstar, and then I didn't have a chance really to get one of the core major bosses, like so like with a Kraid battle or with Ridley or with Dragon or something or Fantoon. Those bosses I haven't even had a chance really to engage with yet. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing for this past week.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week, guys. So if you like what we're doing, like I said, top show, please like, follow, subscribe, check us out on everything, every podcast service, YouTube, stuff like that. Really appreciate it. Like I said, like, follow, subscribe, leave the comments, 5 stars, thumbs ups, whatever you can do. We appreciate it. Share with your friends. Links down below for all those places to get there quickly. Um, but I was your host. I was Tyler.
I've been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, play something that you'll enjoy. Have a fun week. And most importantly, thank you for listening to another fun filled episode of the Drunk Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables.
Yeah,
Too sweet.
too sweet.
Bye, guys.
See ya.